Hello everyone and welcome to yesterday's airlines. It is early July and the releases are coming thick and fast. Just recently we've had the JC Wings releases, Aviation 400 releases, Panda releases, Gemini Jets releases and the Phoenix releases. So that's a lot of content, a lot of releases. But in this video we're going to look at the Phoenix release set. And it's another interesting month for Phoenix. This month we've got a mixture of the sort of eclectic and interesting stuff that they've been putting out recently, but also more up-to-date, more up-to-the-minute releases that are also being released by others. So more competition from Phoenix with other brands, as you will see when I look at those other brand videos. So it's an interesting mix of models, 15 of them in fact, and I'm not going to waste any time. Let's get straight to looking at those. But before we do that, obviously, chuck a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and check me out at Yes to Airlines on Instagram and Facebook. Thanks everyone for the support as always. But let's get on and see what Phoenix are going to be bringing in this July announcement set. So 15 models, and it's almost an even split. I think there are 8 Airbuses and 6 Boeings, and then a single McDonnell Douglas. So it's almost half Airbus and half non-Airbus, but not quite. But as I say, an eclectic mix of more of the classic sort of material they've been producing, models that have either not been made before or haven't been made for a long time, and then also some very, very contemporary releases for aircraft that are just about to be delivered or have recently gained special schemes. First up, it's a model which has never been made in 400 scale before. It is Caledonian Airways. This is the British charter airline that was the renamed British Air Tours in the 1980s when BA took over BCAL. They moved over some of that BCAL branding and rebranded British Air Tours as Caledonian. There has been a reasonable number of Caledonian Airways models in the scale, quite a few in recent years from NG Models in fact, and they've been really nice. What there has never been is an Airbus A320 actually. The question in my mind is whether Phoenix is the company I would really like to be making this A320. I would obviously much rather this was coming from a brand with a better A320 mould, NG or Panda models ideally. The Phoenix A320 is fine. Ish. It's not great. It does kind of work, and I've got a reasonable number of these, but I do tend to try and avoid Phoenix A320s if I can. However, this one is right in the right spot for my collection. I'm not sure though whether I'm gonna go to the Phoenix A320. I want to give this one a really good score, but I'm struggling a little because of that mold. So I think I'm gonna put this one in the high flyer. If it was a better mold, it would be a clear supersonic. Next up is an all-Nippon A320. This one is registered JA220 Alpha. This one isn't particularly exciting. It's got the Inspiration of Japan titles on it. There have been previous A320 Neos, and this is a Neo, sorry I should have said that. There have been previous A320 Neos made. There have been a couple by Panda, which admittedly are not easy to find. There have been others made by JC, Aero Classics, and even by Phoenix as well. So this one seems pretty routine to me. I'm just going to put this one into Workhorse. Though I have to shout out that I still am very glad that All Nippon have kept their slightly retro scheme. It's so much better than the Japan Airlines livery, which is, really, really bad. So really pleased about that. Third model in the set is the last A320 this month. It's another Neo. This one's LATAM Brazil PR X-Ray Bravo Golf. It's wearing quite a colourful version of the scheme, which has green and yellow as opposed to the standard LATAM colours, presumably because it is, LATAM Brazil. It's quite a nice livery, and again, the Phoenix A320 mould is kind of slightly dragging this one down, but it hasn't been made by anybody else previously, I don't believe, and it probably will look okay. I mean, they've been releasing quite a lot of Brazilian A320s, haven't they? Because they made that series of Disney related ones. Yeah, I'll put this one in the high flyer as well. I think would prefer it from another brand with a better mold, but it'll be okay. And last up, we've got, or the last of the A320 family, but this one's not an A320. It's an A321neo, very modern. It's an as yet undelivered A321neo for KLM, PH, AXA. They're replacing their 737 next generations with A321s. So the pictures that I've seen of this show the the aircraft engine list, but it's on its way to be delivered. It's all the same things that I've said about the A320 mold fit to their A321 as well. But I'm still going to put it in the high flyer. I think this one will be made by others, though, I have to say. Whereas I could believe that the TAM one might slip through and not be made by others. I am always certain this one will get made. In fact, I'd be surprised if it's not made by Gemini, to be honest. Whether that's good or bad, none of it together. I'd actually be surprised if it wasn't made by engine models as well. So you might want to wait around and see who it is who produces this and who produces the version you like the most. This one, again, I'll put into high flyer for the time being, but their Phoenix A321, bit TU204, it's not spectacular. So a bit of a mixed bag there with the A320s, primarily because the mould isn't quite up to snuff. But a mould that is up to snuff is the Airbus A330 mould that Phoenix has, and the first one up is a Series 200, and as I understand it, Phoenix have fixed the problems with the horizontal stabilizers, so they now are the correct size and not oversized, and the mold is really good. The first one up is an Airbus Industry House Colours, F Whiskey Whiskey Kilo Juliet. It's in this classic, 90s Airbus scheme, which is colourful, and I really like it. And although there have been quite a lot of Airbus House Colour A330s in the past, the majority of them have been made by Dragon. So that Dragon, or the series of Dragon molds, really not great at all. And you got to say that I really don't like Dragon Airbus molds in general. There has been a really, really nice Airbus House Colours A330 made by Panda Models, but that's a Series 300, not a 200. I own that model, and it's really, really good. This one will go really well with it. It's a model which I think is excellent. They obviously announced an A340-500, was it last month? I think it was, and that will also be excellent. I'm tempted to get both of those to go on my Airbus shelves. And, this is the first time I think there's been, for both those types, House Colours aircraft, which is going to be really, really good. So this one's definitely supersonic in my world. We've got a second A330-200 this month as well. This one's airliners Argentinas, and this one's wearing a scheme which is called Levas Campeones, which means we bring champions. As you can see by the back of the fuselage of the aircraft, it's got the 3 stars, which are probably representing the 3 World Cup victories for the Argentinian football team. And this is the aircraft that's related to transporting the Argentinian football team staff to the Copa America football tournament. So nobody else has announced this model. There's obviously quite a lot of these airliners Argentinas A330 special schemes that are floating around that have been football related. They've already got a really lovely livery, and this is actually quite a classy scheme addition to it. It's not in my collection criteria, but I can see this is going to be really good, and I'm going to put this one up in supersonic as well. Okay, the penultimate Airbus for the month is an Airbus A340-600, and we all know that Phoenix has got this spectacular A340-600 mold, so we know the models should be really good. This one is Iberia ECIQR in the good colours, not the awful current scheme that Iberia operates. There have been previous versions of this model, even made by Phoenix, but that was a long time ago. In 2012 they made that, and it's really, I think, hard to get hold of. There has been a Gemini version and a Herpa version as well, and a Dragon version much earlier, and quality wise, you're getting what you're getting. They're very old. This one looks really good. I think this one will be really nice. It'll be super attractive. The only thing that puts my scoring of it down slightly is obviously it's been made before, but as I say, not easy to get hold of, and that was a long time ago. So you've got to say that overall this is a really, really good model, and one which well worth getting hold of. I'm going to put this one up in the High Flyer. It's close to getting supersonic. Should be really, really good. Okay, the last Airbus of the month is a model, one of the models of this month, which has been announced by multiple manufacturers at the same time. It's Ethiopian Airlines, A350-1000, ET Bravo Alpha Whiskey. It's got this. I really like the Ethiopian scheme, I have to say. It's nice. It's got this first A350-1000 in Africa logo on the front, which is cool as well. I can't see there'll be many other A350-1000s in Africa. There aren't many African carriers that really have the money that Ethiopian does. It's a well-run airline. This has been announced, however, by JC Wings and Aviation 400 very recently. So recently that I haven't done the videos for those announcements yet. So you've got a real choice here between Phoenix, JC, or AV 400. And of those, I'd argue that the Phoenix is probably the weakest of the three molds. And so competition-wise, doesn't really stack up too much for me. So as much as this will probably be quite nice, I don't buy Phoenix 8050s if I can help it. I'm going to put this one in the workhorse for those reasons. I think that I would take a punt on one of the others if I was going to buy this myself. So we move now into Boeing territory, and this month there's only a single 747. You know, there's no reason for me to discuss this any more than I have before. The one here is Air France, F, Bravo, Papa, Victor, Charlie. We're in the delivery colours. Let's just put it into scrap metal and move on. The rest of the Boeings are substantially better. And the next one is a real classy addition. This is, again, one of these models which has not been made before in the scale, and is a delight to see, and it's Lloyd Aero Boliviano, a 767-300 ER CP2426. It's not the most colourful lab scheme because they're 77. Some of them had a really colourful scheme, but this was worn towards the end of lab's existence, and they had a couple of 767s delivered in the early 2000 sort of two time, and the airline only lasted till 2007. It looks really good. It's obviously going to be a really nice model. The mould, as I've said before, is a really good 767, not quite up to the standards of the new NG one, but I can't see NG making a Lloyd Aero Boliviano anytime soon. This one is definitely one that I would be really interested in getting. It slightly crossing the boundary for my collection, which is supposed to be 2000, but sometimes I make exceptions, and I may make an exception for this model because it is super nice. And I don't have any LAB wide bodies in my collection. I've got a couple of Aero Classic 727s, and that's it. So maybe I'll go for this one. It's definitely a supersonic though, isn't it? Let's be honest. Next up, we've got a couple of 777-300 ERs. One is Air Canada. And this one's, again, another model which has been announced at pretty much exactly the same time by Aviation 400 and JC Wings. It's wearing a scheme which says Go Canada Go. I haven't been paying attention to what it says. Maybe this is Copa America related as well. It's quite nice because it's got this gold and gold on the tail. The gold tail looks really good. Now, Feeder's got a much better 777 mold than they do A350, I think. But I have to say that it's still not quite as good as the JC Wings or AV400 versions. So again, would you choose this one over those? Probably not. But I think it's still a really nice model. I think it will be a nice model, and it's still a safe purchase. So I'll put this one in the High Flyer. I think it's because the mold is better than the Ethiopian A350. So it's going to be a slightly higher caliber model for me, and I'm not sure I'd still go for it. I probably would still pick one of the others, but it's going to be a really nice model anyway. Then the other 777 has got no competition, at least so far. This one is a freighter Kalita Air N779 CK. The scheme looks really good, actually. So this is one of those passenger to conversions, freighter conversions, and yeah, the scheme looks really nice. It's simple, obviously, but it's got these big Kalita Air tiles which look kind of retro, and it's got that nice gold and orange. I think it's kind of burnt, kind of orangey colour on the tail. It looks really good. I'll put this one up into Supersonic because it is unique. No one else has suggested they're making it, and it'll be nice, good mould and good selection. Now we're going to have a couple of 787s, and I've previously said some mean things about Phoenix 787s. It's a very old mould. They have updated some aspects of it. They have updated the underside of the fuselage to add in that obvious bar that the 787 has, but they've still, up till now, not done a lot else with it. But my understanding is that these 787s in this release set will now have a completely new set of wings attached to them, and the wings were one of the things that were probably the most incorrect or unusual, because they had this very high wing, which comes from the fact the mould is so old, and the mould predates the actual aircraft flying. So back then the 787s were considered, they had all these weird concepts of how the wings would look. I think it will significantly improve the mould. It's hard for me to be 100% certain, but the pictures that I've seen and you're seeing here look like the new wings are a big success and make the aircraft look a lot better. It will certainly make the mould look a lot more competitive, along with the addition of that bar along the bottom. How competitive compared to other people's 787s? Not 100% certain until I see one, but it's looking pretty decent at the present time. It's a little sad in that sense that the first two models here aren't necessarily overly exciting for a 787. The first one up is a Japan Airlines 787-8 JA823J. This one is wearing this scheme, I think it's called Mayaku, because I think that's the logo of an expo, a science-related expo that's being held in Japan. I've gone on record before for saying I really don't like the Japan Airlines scheme, and I can't say that this special scheme is jumping out at me as being particularly exciting either. The Mayaku character that they've got just looks bizarre. It's like a melted Muppet on the front of the aircraft. It's really weird, but it's not doing anything for me. I'm just going to put this one in the workhorse. I really hate the Japan Airlines delivery. Not the crane, everyone. Love the crane, but everything else is awful. And this special scheme is just kind of it's like someone's science experiment has exploded on the side of an aircraft. Basically, it's just a mess. The next livery is better. This one is, but still, actually, it's not that much better. Actually, I really like the Qantas scheme. So this is a Qantas 787, and the aircraft that's wearing it is VHZNH, and it's got this Go Australia scheme or special scheme on it. But to be honest, it's not a particularly nice. It's not a particularly nice scheme. Now, the scheme, I believe, is related to the 2024 Paris Olympics and Paralympics. But the actual Go Australia bit just looks a bit, I don't know, it doesn't seem to go with the rest of the livery, and it looks a little kind of cheap. It's certainly not as nice as the Air Canada Go one that we were just looking at earlier. So I'm not loving this scheme. This has also been announced, I should add, and that Japan Airlines had been announced by everyone too. But this one has also been announced by JC Wings and AB400 too. So for both of these 787s, there's a lot of competition. It'll be just to see whether the new Phoenix mould can take that competition, because JC Wings and Aviation 400 787s are both really good in different ways, but they're both really good. So it'll be interesting to see whether it can. I'll put this one in the high flyer. Not loving the scheme, but I am keen to see what the new Phoenix 787 looks like, and it probably will be substantially better than what has gone before. Okay, so that's all of the Airbus and Boeings, which leaves us just one model to discuss. And that model is a McDonnell Douglas MD-11. It's wearing Finnair scheme. It's wearing the Finnair scheme from the early 2000s when they dumped the cheat lines. And this is very much JAL-like in my mind. In fact, Finnair has had a series of really bad liveries after they dumped the cheat line. And this one is bland. And I don't even like the way they've done the F on the tail. There has been a Finnair MD-11, at least one, released in a version that's livery before. Gemini made one with this scheme, but with the Santa clause on it. I'm not sure if there have been any others. There's obviously lots of Moomin related ones around. There probably has been. I mean, there's lots of old Dragon releases for Finnair MDs, but this one will be okay. Don't like the livery though. And to be honest, even though Phoenix has lowered the nose gear on their MD-11, I still don't think it's going to be competitive with the upcoming Panda version. It's still ultimately a very old mould, and it could do with, well, to be honest, it could do with replacing, couldn't it? Let's be honest. I mean, it looks okay, and I've got one recently I reviewed it. It did okay, but it's still an old mould at heart, and I don't like the scheme either. I'm going to put this one into workhorse. A little harsh, but the combination of a livery I don't like with a mould which is dated is the reason for that. So that's all 15 models that Phoenix have announced in this early July set. It's another good range of models, I believe. There are some of Phoenix's more weak as harsh. I think they're more average molds on show here. A320s, A321s, A350s. But there are some still really impressive models that they're putting out this month. The standouts for me clearly are the pair of A330s, the LAB 767, and that Kalita 777 also, you know, I kind of like it. I think a lot of the other models will be nice as well. Certainly well worth taking a punt on. And the Caledonian A320 is one which is tugging at my purse strings, but not entirely certain I'll get it. I may well. In fact, maybe I should get it and review it at the site, because I don't review Phoenix A320s often for the reasons I've talked about. So perhaps I should get it for that reason alone. Interesting. Anyway, it's another good month in what has been an excellent period for Phoenix. As you'll see in upcoming videos, at least 3 or 4 of the models that Phoenix have announced here are being released by JC Wings and AV400. So bear that in mind when you're shopping around. But overall, Phoenix doing a good job. These will be good models. So that's it from me for this month's Phoenixes. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you next time. Another one of these will be coming very soon, because we've got all these ranking videos to kick out the way. But it's goodbye for now. Bye-bye.